So the compliance section is going to be a little bit longer, and I'm going to go through each of the sections just because there's more detail here than what we had been collecting. In this first section, the indirect rate, one of the things I want to highlight is we do need backup documentation for the indirect rate for every monetary transaction on federal subawards. So this is something that we should be collecting every single time. And this is going to be a change from what we have been doing. I know my team has been going back and making sure folks have been adding it recently, but this will be required. We need to be confirming the indirect rate that's being used on that budget every year. So this gets a little tricky when a site may be maintaining an old indirect rate. And yet the information that we have is their new indirect rate. So if they're using that old indirect rate, that's the rate that we need. So we need the one that backs it up. Yes, I'll go ahead and answer this question. I don't know if you all see it in the chat. Should we be collecting a copy of the subs F&A rate sheet for every action, including amendments? Yes, that is probably the best practice. In the instructions, I did write down that if it's another FDP member and their information is in the FDP expanded clearinghouse, you can notate that in the comment section. Or if they have it posted on their general website, you can provide a link to that website and not necessarily provide it with the request. We just need to be able to go back and find it so that we can verify it. And this is something that we really should be doing for the federal subawards. For the nonprofits, it's not going to change. It's going to be 0%, 10%, whatever it is for that subaward or for that grant. It's going to be that for the life. And then one of the other changes that we did here is we removed the 8% NIH foreign. Because folks were checking that box when it was a foreign subaward and it was not NIH. And that 8%, as far as I can tell, is limited to the NIH. I have not seen any of the other federal agencies allow 8%. Some at 0%, and sometimes it's 10%. So it's really important to check the sponsor's policies and go from there. And then for fixed rate, just kind of trying to add in more more information about fixed rate agreements. And there's more in the instructions. But one note that fixed rate is limited to the NIH. None of the other federal agencies have adopted fixed rate as a clarification on those not being fixed price or fixed amount subawards as defined under the regulations. So anytime you work with fixed rate, it's only for NIH. But that is usually those rates are inclusive of the indirects. We usually don't add indirects on top. So for those, it's okay just to mark other and just type in fixed rate. And that's in the instructions as well. I'll get to